Chapter 4 in the Genius of Jesus is the genius of power. There may be no human dynamic where Jesus has had a greater effect on the modern world. Even the conversations we have today around American politics and the role of government, they're completely affected by the person Jesus. I used to always hear this adage, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And it sounds right, it sounds true, and it certainly seems to prove itself out as true, because when people have absolute power, it seems to corrupt absolutely. But sometimes we actually don't connect cause and effect properly. See, absolute power does not corrupt absolutely. Let me repeat that. Absolute power does not corrupt absolutely. Absolute power reveals absolutely. Absolute power reveals completely. See, what happens is that absolute power allows you to be who you really are. Absolute power doesn't corrupt absolutely. And you know how I know this? Because God has absolute power, and he's absolutely uncorruptible. God has never been corrupted. The difference is this: God has absolute power, but he's also the source of absolute love. See, when you have absolute power and absolute love, you can be absolutely trusted, and it will never corrupt you. But human beings, well, we're not quite as trustworthy with absolute power. This is why we know even the best of us need checks and balances. Even the best of us need boundaries, because we know that absolute power reveals completely, and there are parts of who we are that we have to be careful of that we may not want to have exposed. See, if you want to make sure that absolute power does not corrupt you, make sure that you're uncorruptible before you have power. If you want to know what you're going to do with power, look and see what you do when you have even the smallest amount of power. See, a lot of us, we think that we're actually virtuous, but the reality is we're actually powerless. See, powerlessness does not make you virtuous. Just because you can't do something doesn't make you virtuous. It only makes you virtuous if you wouldn't do it, even if you could do it. See, absolute power, when it's in the hands of absolute integrity, when it's in the hands of absolute love, can be trusted completely. What Jesus does is he changes our whole understanding of power in the hands of leadership. When you think about the conversations we're having now in the modern world, where we talk about government accountability, we talk about government's responsibility for the poor, and we talk about a government's responsibility for social equality, for racial equality, for social justice. These are not conversations you would have had before Jesus, really. These are not conversations you just wouldn't go to Caesar, or you wouldn't go to Alexander, and you just simply would not go to Cleopatra and let them know you should not be doing this with your power, that your power should be used to protect the poor and to bring equality and to bring some kind of economic equity in the world. The powerful understood that once they had power, they had the absolute right to do whatever they wanted to with that power. Even the way we're trying to deal with historic inequities and injustice, when we look back at things like reparations, where when we see, well, no, this people were conquered by this people, so we should do restitutions, or there should be some kind of reparations, or there should be some kind of financial remuneration because of what's happened in the past. I want you to realize all those conversations are directly influenced by the effect of Jesus in human history. He's singularly the person who redefined that power was not to be used to overpower, but that power was to be used to empower. Jesus changed the entire conversation around power. That when you have ultimate power, you tie a towel around your waist and you wash your disciples' feet. Before Jesus, power was not the fuel to serve. Power was the fuel to conquer and control.